Senator Lankford, you're recognized for your questions.
Chairman, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Secretary Mayorkas, let me set a context piece in here that you know extremely well. You served during the Obama administration as well and working on immigration issues. And you and I have spoken about this often, and you've been very clear to be able to say the system is broken. In fact, the last time we had this hearing, we had the same conversation. I pulled a quote on it. You said, the asylum system is broken. Our entire immigration system is broken. There's unanimity about that. We have hope that Congress will reform a broken system. I went back and pulled the asylum numbers from 2010 to be able to see how many asylum requests did we have across our southwest border in 2010. In 2010, we had 21,000 asylum requests for the year across our southwest border. Now we often have that in 3 days. It's an enormous shift. You also had a piece that you just put out, an op-ed piece in the Washington Post, where you state that the supplemental funding request is not a long-term solution to a deep-seated problem. We need changes in our national immigration law. So I'd like to zero in on that conversation today. What are the key changes that need to happen in the law? And I'm going to go through quite a few issues here. Hit the high points. What are the things that need to be able to change?
Senator, we need a functioning system that marries labor supply with labor demand. We need a functioning system in the asylum arena so that our core value of providing humanitarian relief to those in need who qualify is actually executed with efficiency and with speed, and the ability to remove individuals who do not qualify is similarly executed with efficiency and speed. We need to provide a lawful pathway to citizenship for so many millions of people who have been resident in the United States and productive contributors to our country's prosperity. We need to take care of the young people who know no home other than America, the dreamers who have contributed so much. Those are some of the elements.
Secretary, several of those things don't reduce the number of people coming. They're dealing with people that are physically present here. And as you and I both know, if there's a family member physically present here, that incentivizes another family member to be able to come and to be able to join them. That actually accelerates the process. When we have 21,000 people requesting asylum in 2010, and we have millions now, how do we reduce that flow specifically on asylum? Is it clarifying the definition of asylum? What is that needs to happen on asylum?
So we have taken important steps in that regard within the context of a broken
But
immigration system.
is policy changes needed?
Yes, policy changes are needed, but let me, if I may, Senator, provide context. We have currently, right now in the world, the greatest number of displaced individuals in decades and decades, and that is true with respect to our hemisphere.
I get it, but I don't mean to interrupt on this. I am limited on time, but that doesn't excuse, for instance, the Wall Street Journal had a piece this past week about 45,000 Indians coming to the United States to request asylum, and it tracks the different flights of different countries they're going through, including France, to be able to get to the United States, to be able to catch a flight, to be able to get a truck, to be able to come over to our border and request asylum. So it's a very different thing to be able to say we have migration happening around the country when really what we have is a pull factor, one of the greatest economies in the world, that people that want to be able to come here to work go through the process to be able to do whatever it takes to be able to get here, because then they can request asylum and cross our border. They're going through multiple other countries that would definitely be safe countries to be able to go in, but they want to come to the United States, and I don't blame them. It's a great country, but they're not coming through a legal pathway in that. They're coming through with an asylum definition that's so broad that it's inviting them to come, and it's just accelerating. You agree or disagree with that?
Senator, there are many different concepts that you articulated in the statement preceding the question you posed to me. The asylum system needs to be reformed from top to bottom.
All right, I'm glad to be able to jump in on that. It's been interesting, a lot of people don't know this, that a lot of people are coming across the border, they're remaining to go through a series of hearings for something called withholding. That is a number that's rapidly rising as well. Are there changes needed in clarification to be able to make sure that decisions can be made faster on the issue of withholding?
Yes, Senator, you are speaking of withholding of removal.
Yes.
It is one element. The companion element is the Convention Against Torture. Our system needs to be able to work efficiently and expeditiously while not compromising due process.
How do we deal with recalcitrant countries as well? You've dealt with that in Venezuela, for instance, as you mentioned earlier. We're now 1 year into the Venezuela program. If we go back a year ago, we had about 22,000 Venezuelans that are coming through in a month. This past September, we had 66,000 in a month that came across. You've now made an agreement with Venezuela. They're accepting people back. And as you mentioned before, the numbers dropped dramatically. When suddenly we're actually not allowing people to come in, it goes from 66,000 in 1 month to when we start returning people, suddenly that number drops dramatically. Things haven't changed in Venezuela, but they've changed in how we're applying that policy, and we saw a dramatic decrease in the numbers there. So recalcitrant countries where I want to be able to start. Is there a need to be able to qualify that? And the second one, is there a lesson to be learned from what's happening in Venezuela that we actually are consistent in returning people back? There's a more immediate consequence. We get an immediate drop in numbers.
Senator, our model is to build lawful pathways and to deliver consequences for individuals who do not avail themselves of those lawful pathways. Our ability to repatriate individuals to the countries of origin when they do not qualify for relief under our laws is of vital importance. And what we have been able to accomplish with respect to Venezuela is a very powerful example of that.
Okay, you asked for additional funding for detention beds there. What is the right number to be able to process individuals near the border, to be able to make decisions and to be able to respond, rather than having to release so many individuals on their own recognizance and saying, we'll follow up with you in the days ahead, we don't have time to process now?
Senator, we have been employing expedited removal.
But most people are actually not removed quickly, though they have the title expedited removal. It may be years before they're actually removed.
We actually have been able to remove people under that process expeditiously, as its title would indicate, and the additional detention beds that we have sought in our supplemental funding request is to be able to expand expedited removal consistent with the model that I outlined.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.